week we're going to take factorization, but a step ahead. I'm going to factorize, I'm going to expand or develop, make it bigger, and I'm going to calculate. So usually the exercises in the Puissance book are related to three parts. They're not only factorization, they're also expanding, and they are calculating. We're going to see all three together. So the first question says, part A, develop and reduce a of x, or it could be expand, order, and reduce. Both questions mean the same. I'm going to develop, I mean expand, make it bigger, not factorize it and make it into common parentheses. That's not it. So now I go back to my expression, 2x minus 3x plus 2 minus 12x to the second plus 27 plus 2x minus 3 to the second power. How many parts is it? Part 1, part 2, part 3. The first thing I start doing, I have to expand this part. Always remember, I'm going to have big brackets for each, and then I open everything together. I start adding and subtracting my like terms. What do? I have two parentheses. What does parentheses mean? Multiply. So I have to distribute. All right, I open a big bracket. 2x times x is 2x to the second. 2x times a plus 2 is a plus 4x. Minus 3 times x is a negative 3x. Negative 3 times a plus 2 is a negative 6. This is my first parenthesis. My second parenthesis, or my second part of the expression, is already done for me. So I have to open it up as it is. I just leave it as it is. The third part is 2x minus 3 to the second power. It's a special case. So I have to use a to the second minus 2ab plus b to the second. I bring down my plus sign and I open a big bracket. What's my a? 2x to the second minus 2 times 2x times 3 plus 3 to the second, and I close my parenthesis. And now, what do I have to do? I have to open it all up together. 2x to the second plus 4x minus 3x minus 6 minus 12x to the second plus 27. 2x to the second is plus 4x to the second minus 2 times 2x is 4x times 3 is 12x, and 3 to the second is plus 9. And now I go to look at my common terms. This is common, this is common, this is common. They're all alike, they're like terms. So it's 2x to the second minus 12x to the second plus 4x to the second. And now I go to my x's. I have a plus 4, a minus 3, and a minus 12x. I put them after each other. So what am I doing? I'm grouping and classifying them with their like terms. And then I have the constants, which are numbers that have no x's. These are my constants. So I have a negative 6 plus 27 plus 9. And I start adding and subtracting. 2 minus 12 is a negative 10, plus 4 is a negative 6x to the second. 4 minus 3 is 1, minus 12 is a negative 11x. And then a minus 6 plus 27 is a 21, plus 9 is a 30. So the answer to my question, develop and reduce, or the question expand, order, and reduce, is this. To the second, x, and then a constant without any x's. Did you see how I opened it up? It's very easy once you divide the expression into parts. The second part of the question, the same question again, the same expression, is factorize. When I say factorize, we mean put them into parentheses. So my answer is going to be into parentheses. The difference between factorizing, it's in parentheses, expanding or developing is only one answer, just like a normal polynomial. Okay, again, how many parts? Part 1, part 2, and part 3. Part 1 is already done for me. Part 2, what does it remind you of? A2 minus B2, because it's made up of 2 terms, but 12, I cannot radicalize it. 27, I cannot radicalize it. So there's something missing. There's a GCF of 3. I put my 3 outside. 4x to the second minus 9, because 27 divided by a negative 3 is minus 9. And now this is an A2 minus B2, which is a 2x plus 3 and a 2x minus 3. I bring down the negative 3 here. I bring down my first part as it is, 2x minus 3 and an x plus 2. The last part is actually a special case that's done to me. 2x minus 3 to the second power, what does it mean? A 2x minus 3 and a 2x minus 3, the same sign. And now again, this is 3 parts, 1, 2, 3. Where's my common parenthesis? 1, 2, 3. 2x minus 3, and I put a big bracket for what's left. X plus 2 minus 3, 2x plus 3 plus 2x minus 3. Now I bring down again my common parenthesis, 2x minus 3, and what do? I start opening my other parentheses and adding and subtracting my like terms. X plus 2 minus 6x minus 3 times 2x is a minus 6x, minus 3 times 3 is a minus 9, plus 2x minus 3. Where are my like terms? X minus 6 is a minus 5, plus 2 is a negative 3x, and then 2 minus 9 is a negative 7, negative 3 is a negative 10, and I bring down my common parentheses. Now, the factorization of a of x is actually this. If you really want to make sure if it's correct or not, go back, make sure your parts are correct, and then this is factorizing. Always remember, factorizing leads to expanding or developing. Developing leads to factorizing. They're both the same, but in different terms. Now, the question was part A, expand, order, and reduce. I got this answer. Factorize, I got this answer. How do I make sure if this is correct and this is correct? I open this up and I distribute to make sure this is correct. 2x times negative 3x is negative 6x to the second. 2x times a negative 10 is a negative 20x. Negative 3 times a negative 3x is a plus 9x. Negative 3 times a negative 10 is a plus 30. Where are my like terms? Negative 20 plus 9, which is negative 6x to the second, negative 11x plus 30. Is it the same answer? Yes, it is. So it is correct. Okay? Now, part C says calculate a of 0. What do they mean a of 0? That means a of x. So x is 0. I can put it in this or I can put it in this. The easier is using the expanded form. You can use whichever. Okay? So you can use the one with parentheses, the one with factorizing, or you can use the other. They're going to give you the same answer. So if I put it in here, it's negative 6. I only simply substitute. All right, I substitute. Instead of x, I put a 0. So negative 6 times a 0 to the second power minus 11 times a 0 plus 30. Negative 6 times a 0 to the second power is a 0. Negative 11 times a 0 is a 0 again, plus 30. So my answer is 30. So whenever x is 0, the answer to it is 30. If I use this, how do I substitute? 2 times 0 minus 3. Again, minus 3 times 0 minus 10. 0 minus 3. And this is 0 minus 10. 0 minus 3 is a negative 3. 0 minus 10 is a negative 10. Negative 3 times a negative 10 is a 30. Did I get the same answer? Yes, so I can use whichever you guys feel comfortable with, you're allowed to do. So a of 0 again is 30. Now they tell me calculate a of 3 over 2. So what's my x? It's 3 over 2. Again, I'm allowed to substitute into the expand, or I'm allowed to substitute into the factorize. So if I substitute here, it's negative 6 parenthesis 3 over 2 to the second power minus 11, 3 over 2 plus 30. Negative 6 times 3 over 2 to the second power is 9 over 4 minus 11 over 1. Again, you can do this on your calculator. Negative 33 over 2 plus 30. Now what do I do? Again, I can multiply this. This is divide. I can simplify, which is negative 27 over 2 minus 33 over 2 plus 30. I first simplify my fractions, which are like denominators. Negative 27 and a negative 33 is a negative 60 over 2, which is a negative 30. Now negative 30 plus 30 is a 0. So whenever x is 3 over 2, the full expression is equal to 0. Let's try it in this. It's 2 times 3 over 2 minus 3. And then it's negative 3 times 3 over 2, negative 10. You can do this always on your calculator, which is 3 minus 3. And then this is negative 9 over 2 minus 10 over 1, which is, if you do it on your calculator, similar denominators, which is negative 29 over 2. 3 minus 3 is a 0. So 0 times a negative 29 over 2 is a 0. So whenever a is of x is 3 over 2, the expression is equal to 0. Both give me the same answer, whatever it is. So whenever they say calculate, it means substitute. Whenever they say expand, or they can say develop, it's always an expression with different powers, x's, and a constant. Whenever they say factorize, you're always going to have parentheses. If you want to make sure and check your answer, whenever you factorize and you open it up by distributing your answer, you're going to get the same answer as developing. Why? Because whenever I expand, I can factorize, and vice versa. Whenever I factorize, I can go back to expanding. They're both related. When you're doing the exercises this week, each exercise has 3 different parts. I want you to make sure the first part is always expanding or sometimes factorizing. The second is factorizing or expanding. The third is substituting. Always remember, you first have to divide your expression into parts, then think about what you have to do the next step.